Welcome to the Education Scotland podcast. In every episode, we are joined by teachers, professionals and experts to unpack some of the big questions and topics facing the education sector in Scotland. Stay informed with the latest on education in Scotland by subscribing to our podcast.
Welcome everyone to this Education Scotland podcast, where we will be discussing the pilot ITE placement programme in family learning teams. And today we are joined by Alyson Young from the University of Aberdeen, and she has been involved in the programme working with Aberdeen City's family learning team. So welcome, Alyson. And also we're joined by Vince Moore, who has also been part of the project for Education Scotland. So we're just going to talk a wee bit about the experiences that you had, the impact. But first, I would like to ask you if you could just introduce yourself, Alyson, and what it is that you do.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, it's nice to be on the podcast with you today, Susan. My name's Alyson Young. I'm Programme Director for the PGDE Primary Programme at the University of Aberdeen, and I'm going to be talking about the experience our PGDE students and our MA students had working with the family learning team in Aberdeen.
Thank you. So I guess we'll just get into the first question, which is really just about you telling us about your involvement with the ITE Student Placement Programme with the Aberdeen City Family Learning Team.
So we've been coming along to some of the Education Scotland meetings looking at family learning, and had heard about the experiences some of the other initial teacher education institutions had been having working with family learning teams. And we thought it sounded like an excellent idea. One of the key features of our programme in Aberdeen is partnership working. We work with a lot of different partners throughout our programme, and we've been building that up over the last couple of years. So this seemed like another excellent way of working with a local partner and somebody that would be able to bring lots of different things to the students. So we set up a meeting with Emma and Grania from Aberdeen City Council, and we started just by talking through what this could look like. And one of the things that we were all keen on was keeping it manageable, because we thought this had the capacity to grow arms and legs and get a lot bigger than it needed to be. So we focused on making sure that we started small so that we could have success and make sure it was manageable for both their family learning team and for us at the university, and for the students as well, because we wanted to put it at a time where it would fit in with their degree programmes, where it wouldn't be overwhelmingly adding to their workload, but where it would still have meaning and be useful. So yeah, over a series of probably about 9 months, we came up with a plan of offering the opportunity to both the PGDE primary students at the very end of their final placement and the MA4 students at the end of their final placement as well. And just as the way that the end of our programmes were working, we had the MA students go out 1 week and the PGDE students go out the week after. We decided to just have 1 week, and the students, rather than shadowing one person throughout the whole week, they would go into a range of different activities led by different people. And Grania and Emma were absolutely fantastic at providing a range of different sessions that they could drop into. One of our students got the opportunity to go to a team meeting as well, which I think she found really, really helpful and really interesting too. And it's for all of our effort and all the time, making sure it stayed manageable and it stayed useful to the students. I think it ended up being hugely beneficial for the students that went, and also really interesting and helpful for the family learning team and for us at the university. We had the students reflect, but in a really sort of informal way, if you like. It was, they had some guided questions to follow, and then they could pick and choose what they reflected on. We ended up the process of choosing the students. We asked students to sort of give a note of interest about why they would like to do it, a very informal sort of paragraph about why they would be interested and what the benefits they saw to their own professional learning would be. And then we brought them in for a really short 10-minute interview for those who had submitted something that fitted the brief of them showing their commitment to the sort of mini placement, the experience they would have. And again, it was absolutely fabulous for us to just listen to what students thought about family learning and what they thought the benefits would be to them. And we ended up with, I think, 2 students in the first week and 1 student in the second week, who all overwhelmingly were really happy with the experience they'd had and learned lots from it as well. And like I said, it's because of the work we put in to building this project up with the people from Family Learning Team, with Emma and Gronya. We've now got a really good working relationship with them as well, and they're going to come and do more sessions for us too. So yeah, it's been super from both the point of view of building a new partnership and also for the enhanced learning that it's provided for the students.
I mean, that's wonderful that you've been able to get that experience out of it, because that's really what we're looking for, is those kind of building those relationships, making them sustainable, but also for the students to get that experience of working with different demographics, because family learning teams invariably are working on a needs-based programme with families who potentially are looking for that early intervention and prevention programme. So I think the students would have got a really rich experience out of it. And Gronya and Emma are so lovely, they're so dedicated, and I was just so pleased that they were wanting to get on board as well. So yeah, it's been great to see how it's progressed and how it's flourished, and I'm so pleased that you're looking at that partnership as a long-term partnership as well. So that's really super.
They're so passionate about what they do, they really believe in it, and they really I think they drew out that passion and that enthusiasm in the students as well, which was great. And I think every session the students went to, they learned something. They saw, how the family learning team were working with the families, and that's something that students don't necessarily get a huge amount of experience with on placement, because they're students and sometimes it's not appropriate for them to be involved in the conversations that are going on with families. They'll meet them maybe during open days or open afternoons rather, or out in the playground or something like that. But I think seeing this more, I guess it's a more laid back environment in a lot of ways, and seeing how other professionals engaged with families was really interesting, but also because the other professionals are so passionate about what they do and, have a real love of working with families, which was great, which I think is a really invaluable thing for students to see.
Well, I suppose that's a nice wee segue into, our next question, which is about, why do you think it is important for ITE students or even classroom teachers to be involved in gaining knowledge and experience of parental engagement and family learning? Not just for their time within university, but also throughout their career.
Yeah, so for me, I said this to some of the students at the beginning. There's a certain amount of trepidation about engaging with families for students. They find that as one of the things that sometimes they're a bit worried about, and they don't really know how to engage. They're not sure what parents or carers are going to want to talk about, and that can be a little bit nerve-wracking. Or they recognise that the families often usually know the children the very best of everybody, and they're a bit apprehensive about how do they talk about their child with this family when they don't know them as well. And so I think it was almost just taking away that worry, just giving them a chance to, and again in this more informal setting, to just see that these families just absolutely want the best for their children. That's what they're looking for, and they're keen to engage with different professionals if that means that they can learn more about how to support their children. So I think it's a little bit of removing that kind of nervousness or trepidation about working with families. So for students, that's what's useful. Once you're in the classroom, I think for me, it's about knowing who else you can get support from or where else you can signpost for families. I think that's my big takeaway from that family learning team working is, and again, the students recognise that there's so many things out there that are available that we just don't always know about as class teachers. I was a class teacher for 15 years, and there are things that I wouldn't have known were out there to be able to signpost families. Or when you're thinking, I don't know how to support this child, being able to go and get advice from other professionals that are working within the local area that might have access to different resources that don't have that same slight separation or hierarchy that can exist with schools, and whether that's real or perceived. There can be that fear for some families about going into school because perhaps there's been bad experience either much earlier in life or more recent, and so being able to reach out to that support and say, look, here, how can you help? What can I access? How can I direct my families in my class? I think that's the key thing for me. It's that recognition that we don't have to do it all ourselves, that we can ask for help, and that we can just look out and find out what's already out there that exists that we can signpost families to. The other thing for me as well that I think's really useful with this wider partnership sort of idea that where schools and family learning can work together is just to develop that closer relationship with families and carers, to make it easier for both parties to talk to each other about sensitive issues or tricky situations, or just to ask for help. It's all that reaching out and asking for help, finding out what's out there that can benefit us. So I think the more we can work together, within a local authority, for me, that's the ideal. The better it can only be better for families and children if we're working more collaboratively.
I'm so pleased you've said that, because one of the when we were talking to some of the students that were involved, one of the things that they had mentioned was that confidence. They were feeling that they were more confident to be able to talk to parents and families. And another student had spoke to us about talking to a family who had parents who had a child who had ASN, and he learned so much from them about the strategies they were using in home, so that he then was like, well, I could replicate them in the classroom, and that's really going to help me. So I think you summed it up really, really nicely there when you said we're all in it together.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
So I think I'm going to hand over to Vince. He's going to ask a couple of questions as well.
Yeah. Alyson, so thinking about the current ITE pilot placement programme, what would it mean for ITE courses in general if they were to be rolled out nationally?
What's been really interesting for me, and I think probably for Susan and the wider team too, is that every ITE institution's done things slightly differently. And for me, it's developing creative ways for students to gain experience with those partners, so a wider range of partners, and also to gain experience of working with families, but finding creative ways that we can do that, and it also widens what initial teacher education is to beyond just subject knowledge and the kind of professional skills we need for being teachers, but recognising that we have so many different partners within local authorities, within charities, within wider local government that can help in the classroom, and not to feel isolated, not to feel that we have to do it all ourselves, but to be able to reach out for the help that's available out there. But oftentimes that's just having knowledge about it. And I think that's been one of the benefits to the students that we spoke to after the placement was, well, I now know that these things exist. And as Susan just said as well about I now know that I can engage with the family learning team and families to maybe have more of a discussion about how to support children at home, and how that can then transfer to the classroom. So I think widening the programme out into other ITE courses just means that we'll have more people looking for creative ways to bring in the different partners that are out there, particularly the family learning teams, but also the little teams that were within them, to come into ITE and to provide students with more resources, more understanding of this partnership collaborative working. That I think that's when education's at its best, when it's working really well with everyone around us. And you'll never be in a class really now where there won't be some expectation to work with external partners of lots and lots of different types. So gaining that experience early on is going to be really beneficial. And I also love that it's great to hear what other ITE programs are doing. And I think from a university point of view, it's great to have opportunities to collaborate with other schools of education, because again, we don't always get a lot of opportunity for that. So it's great to learn about what other places are doing, to work with them, to get ideas, and develop our programs further, because we're always looking to improve, always looking to add to our programs and make sure that the students are getting everything they need out of them. So yeah, I think it's great to see people doing things new and innovative ways. So hopefully it'll continue.
I think you've already kind of touched on this in a number of ways, but what impact would you think this will have on the system or the sector as a whole?
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this, but without repeating myself too much, just that collaboration, bringing together different organisations, different services, to better support children. I think now, as much as ever, we need to have that creative approach to meeting children's needs and families' needs as they change and evolve over time. And this is a constantly changing landscape, and we need to be ready and enabled to meet their needs. I also think, coming out of university, coming out of a teacher education programme with an extra string or two to your bow is also a great thing to be able to talk to and share with your probation school, and then also to talk about when students are looking for jobs after probation as well. It's another thing that they can bring to their school, another skill set they can share with their new colleagues. It just makes them have an enhanced professionalism, I guess, because they've seen what it's like for other groups that are working with children and young people and families, and they've got an insight into what that's like, so they can bring that knowledge into school. And we talk about that with our students a lot. We'll say, what you've learned here, go and take that into school, go and talk to your placement teacher about it, or your head teacher, let them know what you've been doing, because this might be something new for them. It's been a long time since most of us have been out of initial teacher education. So, don't be afraid to talk about what you've learned. And I really hope that our students feel confident and empowered enough to do that. So what I hope is we have a whole load of new teachers going into the system with just that little bit of enhanced knowledge, enhanced understanding of collaborative working and partnership working, that's going to have hopefully then a little knock-on effect into schools throughout Scotland.
More rounded people as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big aspect to it as well. Susan, do you want to round this up?
Yeah, I was just going to say as well, we have had the pleasure of seeing your students' videos, and they were so eloquent, I have to say, talking about the impact that it's had. So we will add this to the report that we have written. So obviously we've tried to learn throughout the process of the pilots from everyone, just so that we can pull it all together for other ITE providers to learn from. And I think you're right when you said everyone will do it in a slightly different way, but there will still be those kind of consistent areas of impact that we're trying to have, which is around building confidence, strategies, all that kind of good stuff for when they get into teaching. But what advice would you give to other ITE providers thinking about engaging in this type of placement programme in the future?
Yeah, I think engage, first of all, make it a partnership with the family learning team and the local authority you want to work with. So work really closely with them, listen to what they can provide, think about what it is you want for your students, and then keep it manageable, because we have so many pressures on as an ITE to add in lots of different things. And I think keeping it manageable in year one is what's going to mean that everybody keeps motivated to go into year 2 and year 3 and year 4. So that would be one of the things I would say. And then don't try not to limit what you think is going to come out of it, because we found that actually the students we were able to adapt the little mini placement to allow more students into it. So I think being willing to be flexible, adaptable, listen to what the students are telling you once they've been out, find a way that the students can record their experiences that again is not onerous, it's manageable, and it's the students enjoy doing it. I think that's one of the things that came from our students' feedback was they liked doing the reflections because they could make it fit in with what they wanted to write about. So we didn't say, oh, you have to answer these 20 questions for every day of the placement. You know, we were saying, look, take one of these reflective questions that fits and write something about it. And yeah, just enjoy working with the partners, the local authority partners, you know, and hopefully if you develop a good partnership for this little the project with the family learning teams for students, that hopefully that can then develop and expand and become something even more valuable for the whole programme. So yeah, I think that's, and don't worry about it, it's perfectly manageable, and it's an excellent opportunity to develop the students' understanding of how families work, both with the family learning team, but also how they work with their own children, how they can then, we can learn from what they do in family learning and see how that impacts on schools. But I think looking back, it was such a great project. We're absolutely delighted that we could be part of it. We've certainly gained an enormous amount from it, and I would just say to all the other ITE providers to just go for it, go and find a local authority to work with, and yeah, just start off on your own journey.
Very sage advice. Thank you, Alyson. Well, we would just like to thank you as well for allowing us to walk side by side with you and gather all the evidence for us to be able to write our report on it. And it is something that we think does have an impact, not just on the students, but also on everyone involved. So it impacted us as well. We didn't envisage it would be such a success as it was. We were hopeful, but yeah, we're totally delighted. So we just want to thank you and your students for being part of it. It was great to work with you on it. So I think we've probably come to the end of this segment of the ITE Placement podcast series. So I'd just like to thank the listeners for coming along today, and if you want any additional information on this, you can look on the Education Scotland website, where you will find the report and all of the podcasts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Don't forget to subscribe for notification of when a new episode is published. If there is a topic you would like to hear featured on this podcast, get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on our social media channels for all the latest news from Education Scotland. Education Scotland is a Scottish Government executive agency charged with supporting quality and improvement in Scottish education.